What do we have
Start with
first?
answers in Genesis, because they start with A.
That's
They say
bad.
there is overwhelming evidence that most of the sedimentary rock layers were deposited rapidly. Most.
I feel like most, like the word many, is carrying a lot of weight there.
So even if this is correct, there are some that are definitely not deposited rapidly, like salt deposits. Those require long periods of time of like fairly lots of inflow into a body of water and very little outflow, as well as a bunch of evaporation. And it takes a long time, and a lot of the salt deposits we have are incredibly thick, and they're also in between other layers that are, like, according to creationists, would have been deposited in the flood. So how did the salt happen? Right in the middle there.
I am still depressed that I live in a world that adults just simply look at all of the advancements we've made in science, pick up their cell phone, and then from that device of all things, say, nah, the Earth, 6,000 years old. I have no proof of it, but, book.
Yeah. But also, I'm not even sure I would agree that most sedimentary rock was deposited rapidly. Like, sure, there are some. Like, there are mudslide deposits that absolutely would have been deposited rapidly. It also depends how we're defining rapidly, because there are environments like certain types of swamp will have deposits that happen on an annual basis, and you can get quite thick layers in just a few hundred years. And geologically speaking, that is quite rapid. Flood geology speaking, that's way too slow.
Well, flood geology, they need it to be within literally a handful of minutes.
Oh, seconds.
Yeah, true.
And that's not just deposited, that's deposited and lithified. Because there is, like, the way the layers are so firmly delineated with no cross-contamination between them suggests that they were lithified when the next layer was deposited.
However, we just have,
But
I mean,
God did it.
God did, yeah, you're right.
God did it.
He did it.
God did it.
I think that I get frustrated with the God of the Gaps stuff, not because it's a fallacious argument and therefore it's a problematic one to use. That's one reason, but that's more of like hyperfixation on philosophy as a reason. No, I think my real big issue with any of this God of the Gaps stuff is that it is the most incurious thing you can have.
It's to quote Nietzsche. Sorry, Nietzsche. I'm bad at pronunciation. That's part of my shtick. Okay, deal with it. So to quote Nietzsche, it is a rude and indelicate answer.
Yeah, it bothers
It's
me.
not a satisfying answer.
It bothers me because I feel like there is not an actual moment in time where a child becomes an adult. I don't. And I'm meaning that to say specifically...
Yeah, okay. I'm almost 40, but I'm still a child.
Yeah, I'm meaning that to say specifically, there's this idea that we have in our heads when we're young, that there is a way children operate, there is a way that adults operate, but once you get into the adult world, you realize that things like high school drama, they don't just fall away, they just metamorphosize into something different. Things like
drama.
Things like childhood drama in general, childlike ways of operating, they don't fade into the background. It's just some people get a hold of that thanks to the benefit of time, and some people don't. And when the people who do not get a hold of those childish impulses are able to have power, for instance, in government, I start to have a handful of questions about how things are going to go for the next few years, honestly. So my point about that is that there is another idea that we get to a point where we stop learning. Because we're no longer in school, we're no longer being fed information. So, like, we've done our homework, we've done our part. It's time to go out into the real world, and you're not supposed to learn things now, you're supposed to know things. And I hate that. I hate that mentality, and I feel like this is that mentality It's the exact same thing to me. It's an incurious mind going, I could investigate how the world works, but instead I would like to have a thought-terminating cliche that tells me how the world works, even if it doesn't offer any information whatsoever.
Billions of dead things buried in rock layers. Okay, I'm sorry, I forget the song. I haven't actually heard it in a long time. But that's one of AIG's thought terminating cliches that they turned into a literal song that is aimed at children.
Yeah, I do not like the idea of having an incurious mind. And fun thing, what is one of the things that conservatives have aimed at people on the left a lot? It's
education.
It's the idea that we are incurious. We are the ivory tower dipshits that look down at people who are working class and say, no, I know what's better for you. You don't. That's a criticism that we get a bunch. Not you and I, but broadly the left. Democrats as well, specifically. And yet this is the same group of people.
Meanwhile, they are literally funded by the elites.
Yeah, that too. But meanwhile, there is an entire religion, young earth creationism specifically, that is built on the idea that everyone should have an incurious mind. Everyone. And this is why we have transphobia. Like, this is the exact reason why it exists. You get people... You go on, sorry.
The video that I'm scripting right now is it literally every point that he makes in favor of God, he ends with, like, he does... Okay, he does a terrible job of it, but he does what seems to be an honest attempt at giving the real explanation for the non-Christian side of it, like how life came about and how the universe came into existence and stuff like that. But then, like, he gets to the end of it, and every single one, he's like, well, which explanation makes more sense to you? That the universe popped into existence out of nothing, or God? And it's just like, well, if you actually take a moment to understand what's going on the non-God side of that equation, God is completely unnecessary. You can still believe in him if you want, but he's not necessary.
Yeah. To claim that he is a necessary property of your...
I was not using necessary in the philosophical sense.
I'm not trying to mean it that way either. What I'm meaning is to claim that he's a necessary property of how you investigate the world around you is a little silly.
Yeah. And it's just, it's sad because it's also like this person is very clearly ignorant of so many things that, like, it wouldn't be that hard for them to learn.
But incurious minds, people who have incurious, inflexible minds, they're just arrogant. That's what it is. It's arrogance.
This is the same channel that it's the Impact 360 Institute. They're the same channel that were like, hey, humans are complex because our DNA is 6 feet long if you uncoil it. And then if you take all the DNA from all the cells in your body and put them end to end, it's long enough to go from here to the moon 150,000 times. That's a lot, and it's complicated. Therefore, God.
That's...
You know that's just a bunch of copies of the same thing, right?
It's also just not understanding cause and effect.
And, like, how long something is does not make it less likely to be natural causes.
Penis long, therefore God.
Oh, the example I used in the older video where they went into that was, I forget what the nebula is called, but it's the one that looks, I think it's actually called the Finger of God Nebula. It's the one that looks like it's flipping you off.
Unaware of it.
You don't know the
No.
flip off nebula? Oh, good Lord. Finger of God Nebula. Images. That's, oh my God, why is there so much AI bullshit?
Every time.
Someone AI like a nebula that, like, looks like a literal hand, and it's like, no, that's not it. Hopefully this crops properly so you can see it. This one.
Oh, that's...
It looks like God flipping us off.
God's just sitting there going, you fucking liberals.
Yeah, so that's the example I use, is that one is, I think it's 2 light years across. Like, that's a lot longer than our DNA. Does that mean it's super duper complicated? No, it's just a cloud of gas.
It's a cloud of gas that's flipping people off.
It's a really cool cloud of gas, and if you believe in intelligent design, you must therefore believe that God designed this nebula to look like a rude gesture that only at this time in history do we consider it to be a rude gesture, And this time in history is when we can see it for the rude gesture that it is.
Well, God would have known that this time in history was coming. So, you know, checkmate, atheist.
Thank you for the hydrate, Axo, but I don't have water with me, so fuck you. And thank you for the hat, Jassa. Kami hat time.
Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.